name is Sheridan Ruth, and I am here to welcome you home. This is the Exposed Podcast. Where we reveal the body-based ways to ease anxiety, heal trauma, and create an empowered connection with love and money using nervous system regulation and a healthy dose of self-compassion. Welcome, Panagiota, to Expose. Listeners, I'm so excited to be talking about this. You guys have probably seen me talk about my journey with emotions. We've talked about sacred anger. We've talked about shame before. We've talked about emotional intelligence and creating emotional safety in relationships. And today we're talking to Panagiota about creating a happy life through the correct use of your emotions. And what is rationalization versus emotions? How do you grow using your emotional intelligence? What is emotional intelligence? And I have so many questions that I want to ask you, Panagiota, about emotions and the way that you understand them and teach on them. But before we get into that, can you tell me and our listeners a little bit about, like, how did you arrive to this work of emotions? Why is this important to you? How did you get here?
Okay. Nice to talk to you in this podcast. And I'm really, really glad that you invited me. It's a really great initiative, and you're going to help a lot of people. I'm certain. Thank God that you and some other people do that. It's super, super important. So I think I was a person that had a lot of empathy since I was a child. So I was feeling a lot of emotions and thinking about them. So that guided me to study psychology and to be a psychologist, and then study neurosciences and cognitive sciences. So I started knowing how the brain functions and how emotions work, and how reasoning and emotions work together. And we do have both of them. Even the people that usually say that they try to suppress their emotions, that they have them under control, or they put them into their little boxes. Well, sometimes things are not the way we believe they are. And there is a great mechanism, a super, super intellectual and super, super fantastic and sophisticated. And that's our emotional hardware. We do have an emotional hardware. It's proven scientifically, neuroscientifically. We do have it. 99.9% of humans, those who don't have it at that percentage or at that situation, probably these are the sociopaths or people that they have cerebral lesions. But the rest of the typical population, we do have this hardware. No matter where we are, what country we are, what nation, what language, what culture, we have a hardware. And it's our emotional hardware. And nature provided us with that in order to first, initially, protect us from danger, so ensure survival, but later probably to ensure well-being. And the more we know about our hardware and how to work it, so how to create its software, that means we ensure more and more and more our well-being, and actually a well-being and a win-win situation between us and the other, or the other.
That's so wonderful. I love, so what I'm thinking of, like, all of our listeners who, I think most people who listen to this podcast probably resonate more with being more empathic. They might identify with, like, being an empath. And at the same time, I can almost imagine you guys sitting there being like, but my boss is not emotional. My partner is, I wish my partner was so much more emotional. I wish my boss was more sensitive. I wish my dad was more emotional, and all of these things. And what you're saying, Panagiota, is that these people are still emotional. They have emotional hardware. Maybe their software is oriented differently. Is that what you're saying?
Totally. That's exactly that. And chances are, sometimes, now that you've mentioned it, I've seen that when I was working as a psychotherapist. Chances are that when you listen to someone say, but my boyfriend or my girlfriend, my spouse, they're so cool, they never stress, and they come with anxiety or panic attacks themselves, I tell them that chances are you resonate with each other, and they are anxious. They also have high stress, but they suppress it and you cannot see it. It's not possible one person who is stressful to live together with a very calm person. Not possible. So chances are that you do have something in common and you still haven't figured it out, but it's there. And most of the times it happens, when they start working with themselves and they start showing more self-confidence, they are more poised emotionally, then their partner shows their own sensitive points, and they show how, or they are more able to understand and discriminate their soft points, their weaknesses, not weaknesses, you understand how I mean it, okay? That we all have weaknesses, thank God we're human, and their anxious parts. And that's good, because once you know it, once you're aware, it's the only way to deal with it. It's your visible enemy. If it is an invisible enemy, you cannot see, you cannot deal with it.
Yeah, this makes me think of something that I see really often, which is almost like when there are two people in a dynamic and one person is quite emotional, really more of that like expressive emotional, they're really emotional, and oh my God, and this and that, and the other person is less emotional. I like to think of it as like there's only so much emotion that can be inside of one relationship, and if person A is using up all of that emotional energy, then person B like just can't be that emotional, be that expressive, because it's not available to them. The other person has taken up all of the emotional space and is doing all of the emotional work. They're doing all of the worrying. The other person is like, well, they're doing all of the worrying and the expressing, so like, I don't need to, I'm not going to. But when person A does less emotional work, yes, there's like a moment where it's a little bit uncomfortable, but a person B has to step in and is pulled to step in and find their own concerns and their own celebrations and their own big emotions, because now person A isn't doing it for the both of them. And that can be such a like a difficult medicine to swallow. Like, yeah, if you want somebody else to be more emotionally attuned, sometimes you need to be more poised, like you said, with your emotions. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So one person needs to keep the balance. So it's a harmony.
Yeah. So you mentioned this a little bit just then, but maybe we can go into it a bit more. Why do we have emotions? Why do we have them?
Well, the way I see it, and I usually explain it to people, is that emotions are kind of our compass, the way we direct ourselves to the things we want to and they're good for us, we don't want to and they're bad for us. And emotions, well, this compass is really sophisticated. I'm saying that again because it truly is. And it's the way we perceive the environment, and sometimes it's the way we perceive our response or our reactions towards the environment. So simply saying, it can have a binary code, yes or no, but then this binary code is amplified to different colorations. So let's say the good is the positive emotions. Oh, I like it here, I can stick to this condition, or I want more of this condition, which is joy, happiness, euphoria, eudaimonia, gratitude, love. Love is another discussion. Maybe sometime we will discuss about it later. It's long chapter. So
because can we just touch on that for a sec? Like,
yeah,
love is beingness. I think maybe I'm just saying my thoughts around it. And I think it is helpful to differentiate that there's a difference between infatuation, which is the hormones, oh my God, they're so amazing. And love is beingness, and it is there's no polarity between it. It's not good or bad. It's not pleasurable or pain. It's just kind of is there. You're not talking about that love. You're talking about the love that you feel that's borderline infatuation, right?
No, I'm not talking about infatuation, because I wouldn't put infatuation into the positive emotions.
Okay.
I would put it in a sentimental mood or emotional situation, but not emotion, because there are categories. Actually, the emotions, the way we categorize them first is that they last very few seconds. So if you get mad, it's for very few seconds. I got mad. But if somebody doesn't treat their anger, if they do not understand it, if they do not process it, imagine that anger comes like a message in your mobile phone. Ding! You know, and it's just rang. And if you don't see who is the sender, and you see, oh, it's Mr. Anger here. He called me. Let's see what they want to tell me. So open this little envelope and read the information. Well, if you don't do that, you don't understand that you have the anger, and this can remain in you and inside your psyche, your emotional and your thought processing. And if then comes a new angry message, and you don't read it, it sticks to the other one. They start creating a chain of anger, and that starts distorting your behavior, distorting your thought processing. It really affects it, because the networks of emotional intelligence and thought processing in the brain are neighboring, and the one affects the other. So you start having the bad effects of not reading the messages to your behavior. Bad choices, outbursts, forgetfulness, irritation,
anxiety.
So yes, a lot of things. And though anxiety, I would mostly put it with fear and not with anger. Okay,
See, that's interesting, because I find like I work with so many people who come to me for support with their anxiety. But what I usually find is, not for everyone, but for many people, when we go like, okay, there's anxiety, but actually what I am is I feel guilty, but actually what I feel is I feel angry, but actually what I feel is I feel scared, but we're just experiencing that they layer on top of each other. And I find that a lot of, especially women, we have so much anger inside because we don't get to express it as we grow up. And then we just like kind of bury it away. And then it's like, we feel like a pressure pot that's about to explode. And instead of calling it sadness, anger, guilt, we say, I'm really anxious.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I have depression, it's like I have a button in my face. So what is that? It can be chicken pox, or it can be whatever, but let's call it depression, because, well, it sells better. So many, medicines about it, and, it's, let's take them. And so to go back to anger, and then go back to the rest of the emotions. If you don't read the message, it's going to sabotage your behavior. And it does it perfectly, because actually what the emotions want is your best. They're there for your own good. They are messages from your inner self dictating to you, do something about this or that, and they tell you the quality of the something they want. I want you to go near that positive emotion. I want you to get away from that negative emotion. So actually, it's not negative emotion the way that's, oh, I shouldn't, I don't want to get angry, because most of the people demonize emotions. No, you need them. Definitely, you need them. You need to understand what makes you angry, because you know that it's a situation that you need to take care of or to get away from. And definitely you need it. Definitely you need fear in normal sizes. Okay. And the emotion of fear, the one that tells you in 3 seconds, now start running, or, don't talk to that person, they are creepy, and or don't go to that alley, it's dark and you don't know Krav Maga right now, and so maybe next time you can do that. Okay, you need that fear that comes into 3 seconds. You take it, you process it, you say thank you, and you go. So this is a normal emotion of 3 seconds, 3 to 30 seconds maximum. The one that tells you stop here with your car because somebody is going not to respect the stop sign when they come, and thank God you did it, so now you're safe. But if you start letting your emotions unprocessed, you're going to have the other situation, emotional situation, not emotions, but emotional moods, emotional statuses, that they're going to be there for hours. The classic example, I woke up this morning and my mood was so bad, and you say that I woke up from the bad side of the bed and I don't want to change that. Why? Oh, because there are some things inside you that you haven't processed, and now they're boiling, and you suppress them, and you do that with subconscious mechanisms, sometimes with conscious mechanisms, like buying things, drinking, using substances, etc., or playing
even just
games.
complaining to your friends, even like
exactly,
ruminating.
And totally, all those behaviors that they're not creative, but actually they consume lots of your creative energy. So instead of focusing on what you want to do creatively, to move on your life, to build your life, to level up and create best conditions for you and enjoy, you send all this energy, the creative energy of your focus, your brain focus, to that suppressing situation. Okay, so
yeah. Oh, it's so good. And that's how you end up with long-term moods, anxiety, like long depression, long-term anger stuff, like,
and panic. When I work with people, and I've worked with a lot of people that had panic and agoraphobia and other phobias, that actually they are the same. They are so interrelated, but they express with different things to different people, because they get customized to personalities and life experiences. But I found out that their core was pure anger. People that they have panic attacks, they're super angry.
You guys hear that?
And the moment when I was working with them and we were starting to learn how to deal with emotions, of course, in the beginning, it was super, it's like saying to somebody, this is a frozen lake, and I want you to step on it and, cross the lake. And they were super frightened, because it's the first time that you tell them, now I need you to see face to face your real emotions. Now you're angry, and it is good. It's okay. And I want you to express it. I want you to swear. Do it. Say bad words. Repeat after me. And you could see how at the beginning this was so unknown to people, and how they had suppressed this mechanism, as you said, because they were taught to do that most of the time. So it's education.
Yeah, and this is not to say that if you are in a place where you have been suppressing, you have done something wrong. You haven't. You have adapted to the environment around you,
Totally.
which is actually really, 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 really smart.
Totally.
And now that you're an adult and you have a little bit more control of your life, and if you're listening to this, there might be so many big emotions inside of you that they can feel a little bit out of control. And that's contributing to your self-criticism, your anxiety, your panic, your fears, your OCD, your lack of creativity, or you're not moving towards creating the goals, the lifestyle, the hobbies, the business, the relationship, the finances that you desire. It's not that you've done anything wrong. It's that now we're in a different part of your life. And now we're ready to change things and to move forward. And now you're coming to this information. And Panagiota, I want you to come back and elaborate a little bit more about, okay, so when we can effectively move through our emotions in the moment. So read the text message, understand the text message, because a lot of the time, especially if you're coming from a background with trauma, which many or most of us are, you don't, it's like your body is speaking this like weird language to you, and you're like, I'm pretty sure that it means that, but it means something totally different. You really have to learn that language. If we can effectively learn that language and effectively be with those emotions, I call it emotional alchemy. Maybe you can tell us what you would call it. Where do we go? How does that moment become something powerful and supportive for us?
Okay. First, when do we start? If I understood correctly your question, first, when are we ready to move from this past behavior towards a new one, a new of a change and healing? Is that part of the question?
No, I think we can assume that most people today are listening to this are ready. Or maybe you would disagree. Maybe you want to share. Maybe you don't think. How do you know that you're ready?
Would like. Okay, yeah, that's a good question. How you know that you're ready? There are many options here. Sometimes it's I had enough, I want to change. You know, this I feel so low, or I feel so that there is no other option, that I need to change right now. Or actually, when you start realizing that you have imagination, and your imagination helps you imagine new conditions in your life, probably because you've seen other people, and thank God, human beings, we are, you know, we like to imitate situations. So this is the fantastic emotion of jealousy, if I use it with the ancient Greek meaning, coming from the jealousy as a word is coming from zelos. It means I feel jealous of something I see, and I want to get it into my life as well. Not the same one. I don't want to steal it. I don't envy, but I want to imitate it and do the same thing. So in the ancient Greek meaning, zelos is a positive emotion, because it makes me feel I want to get better, and I have a role model and I want to follow it. So sometimes people, they feel jealous of other people's well-being, and they compare it with something that they have, or there are super serious psychosomatic or somatic conditions that actually tell them, now you need to take care of yourself because you have neglected yourself. Just start searching what's going on and find out the solution.
Yeah, I love that you touched on that. And I know that wasn't the question that I asked, but we need to make a moment to highlight that, because I see a lot of information telling people the way to deal with jealousy is to stop comparing yourself. And I completely disagree, because I think that jealousy is a really wonderful emotion, because it's a longing. It's identifying in you, what are you longing for? What are you desiring? You, Panagiota, you're jealous of different things than what I'm jealous of, which is totally different, listener, to what you might be jealous of. But each of our individual jealousies says to us, oh, there is a desire. There's something about this that I desire to experience or to have. And now I have a compass. And it's not because if I would just stop comparing myself, first of all, it's impossible. So I would just hate that I haven't accomplished it. But I would miss that key information that's telling me where I want to go.
Exactly.
So I love that you said that.
Totally, because it's exactly what you said. Compass has an arrow. It shows us, that's jealousy. Envy is something else. It's like a knife. A knife is not good or bad. The use you have for the knife is the good or bad. A knife cuts bread slices or can harm a person. Okay, so here jealousy is the good influence it has, the good impact it has on us humans. All right.
How do you know when you're experiencing envy versus jealousy?
It's a gut feeling. And when we work with emotional intelligence, that's how we work. So you work with a lot of different things with emotional intelligence. It's not only following the gut feelings, but when you start working with emotional intelligence, you start learning to listen, to feel, to understand and respect your body, because emotions are invisible, they're bodiless. So they need a vessel to express themselves, and they use our body. So when you are angry, heart rate high, blood pressure comes from torso up. So for example, Greece, we say, I become red out of anger. And, you're really, I become red like a tomato. And we know that, or blood came up to my head, because exactly it's a figurative way of expressing emotions, and it's the actual one. Or we say that my psyche went down to my feet when I feel frightened. Sure, blood below torso to the feet, because it's the flight or fight reflex. And here we have the fly part of it. So you see the danger, you want to run, save your soul. Okay, it goes like that. So with jealousy, it's the same thing. When we educate people in emotional education, we educate them that first we need to be aware of our body. And that's how a very big part of my work is also mindfulness and meditation and cognitive relaxation techniques. So people can understand their body, can understand that sometimes when something ticks you here, maybe this is an emotion over there and you need to think about it. Okay, or if you have a numbing situation somewhere, or you have a stomach ache and again and again and again, or you have a heart rate that's always going like that when you speak to somebody and you don't know why, well, think again. There is an emotion. And in jealousy, it's the same thing. When you say that, usually when you feel jealous of something, at the same time, you have hope and joy inside you. Oh yeah, I can do that. And usually your thoughts, the automatic thoughts that they go with it is yes, and you smile like I found my next goal. Cool. But in envy, you're not like that. You're angry, or you're it's why don't I have that, and he or she has it. You start having negative emotions, and you start feeling that you are a less person of what you are, of the infinity that you are. In a positive jealousy, you feel this infinity and you say, since I'm that great, I can have that. So you start helping people understand when is jealousy or when is envy.
I find that our belief systems about ourselves, our self-perception, is what helps us either lean towards envy more often or towards jealousy more often. I recently hosted a masterclass and we talked about unapologetic celebration. One of the biggest questions I got was, how do I celebrate myself when I know that it threatens or makes another person feel uncomfortable? And one of the tips that I gave was to actually build that other person's self-esteem and celebrate them. Because if they're feeling threatened or you feel that they're envious of your situation, it's probably because deep down there's a part of them, or a part of you, if this is you, that thinks, oh, I can't do that. I'm really you have an amazing relationship and you're getting married and you're celebrating, you want to talk about it, but your friend has just gone through a breakup. And so she's like, oh, I can't do that. And if she's in her story of I can't do that, she's more likely to feel envious of you, and it might threaten the relationship if you can't manage it really intelligently. However, if she's in a place of, I just broke up and I'm going to get the best partner in the world, oh my God, cannot wait, and you share your celebration with her, she's going to be thinking, oh my God, there she is. She's out doing it. She has the best partner. I'm so jealous, and I'm going to get that amazing partner because I'm worthy and I've got this. And sometimes the best thing we can do for our loved ones is take them with us and help them experience more jealousy of us than envy, because we're actually inspiring them and supporting them and bringing them along for the ride. Like, it's not a bad thing, but yeah. These are my thoughts.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Ideally, that would be good. But since we are on a planet of free will, it's not up to us how they're going to react and respond. So you will do your best. You will be, as more accommodating with the feelings and as supportive. But if a person has a challenge of jealousy or envy, they have to deal with it,
Yes.
And sometimes that's why we say that, be aware, be mindful with whom you share your wins, because sometimes maybe they're not in the correct place or the same place as you. By correct, I mean the same place as you. And same, again, it's not that you have exactly the same experience, but you have the same ease with accepting those conditions and those situations. Okay, so maybe somebody faces challenges that they, at that specific moment, that they do not allow them to feel your happiness. So you will share something.
That's okay.
You will share something. Of course, definitely not feel guilty because you have succeeded and they don't, you just, and definitely don't feel sad about them, just send your best wishes to them. Otherwise, when we say, I'm feeling sorry, actually what we send to the others is belittling emotions. No, I know that you will make it. I know you have a challenge, but I do believe in your powers. I do believe you have a potential. I'm here if I can help. If you ask for my help, great, but you're big, you're not small, and that's why I'm not feeling sorry of you.
Dear listener, before we wrap the end of this episode up, I want you to know that I see you. I know that you're ready to bounce back from difficulties in your life quickly and with more ease by having the tools to regulate your nervous system and find inner peace instead of inner conflict. I know you're ready to embrace life's challenges and stresses and feel confident to take on whatever comes your way, including anxiety or anger, to move through them without manipulating them, without having to spend eternity in uncertainty, sticky emotions, and physical discomfort. You are ready to celebrate the growth of yourself, your relationship, your finances, without experiencing shame or guilt when you're doing it quicker than those around you. Which is why I'm extending an invitation to you to book an expansion call where we will dive even deeper on exactly what you need in your personal situation to make this a reality, to go from overwhelmed managing big emotions and perhaps going into anxiety or depression to overflowing abundance, ease, and certainty. You'll get free support around your unique situation, and we will also discuss whether or not working through my ease framework in a one-on-one capacity is the best fit for you right now on your journey of becoming more resilient and regulated. Use the link in the show notes to lock in your call ASAP. Yeah. Oh, that's the best emotion you can send somebody's way. I love that.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. So, okay, coming back to what I was asking before we did this thing, when we are able to find the emotional intelligence, move through all of the emotions in a productive way, what do you find normally happens for people, maybe your clients, people that you've seen in the world? What usually happens once you develop this a skill?
Okay, well, they start transforming their life. They start making choices, decisions, bold, you know, again, bold decisions, bold according to their past habits. And funny, okay? When they do that, it comes so naturally, and it comes so it's a slow flow that has yet very robust results. And it's this transformation that I really enjoy doing. Yes, I really, really enjoy that. And I really, really enjoy discussing with them. And that they start telling you, today I have good news for you. You know, I got promoted, I got separated, and now I have sent this message to a new guy, or I started my own business. And they start telling you things that before were not possible to be done because there was this emotional firewall actually blocking their initiatives. Too much fear, too much anger, and all this ruminating, as you said, that actually was self-consuming to what's going on with me, what's wrong. And sometimes when you start working with your emotional intelligence and you put things into place, you read your messages from your emotional mobile phone, well, actually what you're able to do is that you understand where you go. The compass works, and you start seeing the path you want to cross. And what's amazing is that I see people, I say to myself, gee, they're so dynamic. How it's amazing. You know, they just make choices, and it's a superpower. Our emotional intelligence is a superpower.
Yeah, because it frees up, like, I want you guys to think about you every single day, you have access to energy, prana, we call this, when you're looking at it from a yogic point of view. It lays inside of you. And what you do with that prana, you control. You don't control a lot of things in life, but you control pretty much mostly what you do with your prana, how you respond to things. And so if it takes prana, it takes energy to create things in life, to create a stable relationship, to create a stable career, to create a beautiful home, to create a meal. It takes so much prana to make it, to do this. To care for your body and your cells, and to regenerate and to detox and all of that. And so, Panagiota, when you're speaking, what I'm thinking is, and I have seen it reflect in my life, and I have seen it reflecting every single person that I have worked with. We begin working together, and when we begin working together, all of their prana is going to managing their emotional state, to being okay, to getting through, to figuring something out, to finding a good wig, or finding the correct partner, or finding the correct job so that they can feel better. By the end of the time that we're working together, all of this prana, all of this energy has been freed up. And so it goes to just like feeling really good, or cultivating a relationship with their version of God, or creating something creative. A lot of my clients end up working on like hobbies and small businesses, or traveling, or learning a new skill, or getting better at skills that they're just thriving. And when you're speaking, that's what I'm thinking about. We're going from this place of maintenance to how can I maintain the status quo, even though I hate my status quo, to how can I genuinely create a life where I can sit back in my chair on a Monday morning, look around and be like, oh, it's a good life, isn't it? Everything's not it's not perfect. I'm not complete. Didn't finish my to-do list, but like, oh, it's a nice life, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a level of gratitude. That's the level of realizing that things are not given, and that you don't need to be a perfectionist in order to enjoy life. Life doesn't have these West civilization high standards, over expectations of being perfectionists. That's how that's a human creation, mostly of the 19th, 20th century. To do things perfectly, you have to, just be perfect and add up.
Yeah. What do you think, for our listeners? I always like to give away some places where they can begin their journey. Where do you recommend listeners go? All right, after they put their phone down, after they listen to this podcast, what's the next thing that they need to focus on if they're looking to create more emotional intelligence and freedom?
Well, people can start contemplating on themselves, probably things that we've just said right here, right now. Maybe they're going to trigger something, an idea, a thought, an emotion. I would invite them to be mindful of that, how they feel. And something maybe will resonate with them. Something will tell them, yeah, you want to work with your emotional intelligence more. That's the first step. That's the recognition part. And it's definitely very important. And once they do that, they can start thinking that there are different options to work with. I would suggest, if they feel that they have a big trauma, psychological consultation, it's definitely beneficial one. I do believe it's good to have a certified psychologist to work with that. And if you have a strong trauma, right? And if you don't have a trauma, but you really want to work with your emotions, an emotional coach, that would be great as well. But, I'm really, really careful with the credentials people have, because I've seen that people say sometimes that they work with emotions, but they lack a lot of information and knowledge, scientific
I
knowledge.
completely agree. I see a lot of people who do emotional work, and I'm a trauma therapist, and so I always look at things from that lens. And I even have my clients come to me and say, somebody said this, and it's put them down a 5-year path of trying to figure out that thing that they said to them. And like, guys, if that is you, I'm so sorry. And that wasn't fair. And it is not fair. And we want to hold you in that space, validate that, and also do our best so that you have a different experience, that you work with somebody who knows what they're talking about, who understands the nature of the mind and of the body, and can work with you as a complete whole human being.
Totally. That's exactly the key word, a whole. And holistic it's a word that is so wise, but so much abused sometimes. And yeah, it's holistic means as a whole, as an entity, body and mind, body and cognitive function as well, and emotional attitude as well. So definitely, I agree with that. And of course, there are also there's a lot of information, great books. Okay, Emotional Intelligence by Goleman, it's standard. People can read that, and then a lot of other books to understand, because it actually there are works that they explain how we have emotions, how they were developed, and they tell us a lot about the global emotions we have. That there are some emotions that are common to everybody, the basic ones, And then we have the different shades of them based on our culture and our experiences. So we do have basic emotions: it's joy, fear, anger. Sometimes people say jealousy. I say jealousy, yes. Surprise, or I do believe surprise is an emotional reaction and not pure emotion. And disgust, because we need disgust. Don't eat that, it's going to hurt you. That's the first primary role of disgust. And then we have social disgust, which goes later on to be a disdain. Disdain is very well linked with panic attacks as well. So you see, all things, all emotions are related. So people can seek for some education. I'm not going to say help, because it's education. That's what I say always to my clients when we learn about emotional education. It's not that you have a problem, you don't have a problem, is that unfortunately the system is like that things that you should have learned at school, you didn't have the chance to. So we learn them here. That's an opportunity.
Yeah, I completely agree. And on the line of education, one book that I've really enjoyed is called, and I'll link all of these books below, is How Emotions Are Made, I think by Lisa Barrett. I hope I got that right. Emotional Intelligence and How Emotions Are Made. I will link them below, so you guys can all begin with. And Panagiota, you also have some educational or some supportive resources, right?
Yeah.
What am I linking? I'm going to be linking your ebook for affirmations.
Right.
And so I would recommend everyone start looking at the books, have a look at the affirmations ebook, and see how that affects your emotional state and how that tool works for you. Some people really love affirmations, and some people don't love them for a while, then they love them, and it's a relationship that you have with it. I will link all of that below. And then Panagiota, you're also going to be gifting our listeners, if you use the link below, you will give me a special link. You're going to be gifting them a free coaching session for 60 minutes, which is really, really generous and amazing.
It's really nice connecting with new people, and I really love it. Especially now with technology, that I can travel around the world through my screen and connecting with people from so many different cultures. Some stuff are different because of the cultures, but the core of human behavior, it's so the same. And it's so beautiful to work with that core.
Yeah. So before we hang up, make sure that you go down to these links. You go find the resource that is going to be most supportive to you. Thank you, Panagiota, for chatting with us. Is there anything else that you want to share for our listeners before we go?
What I would like to say is that the main thing I say to people is, don't be hard with yourself. Always be like this, always innovative scientist. Have you made something that you feel it's wrong? Say, let's find out what went wrong here, and start looking at it. Don't hassle yourself. Don't burden yourself with extra guilt. No, it's an ongoing process. You did something because you didn't know better, and now that you know better, you will do different. And self-love is going to make you go higher. Self-loathing is going to make you go lower. That's it.
Yeah, 100% agree. You are a grand experimentation, and that is your privilege to be able to experiment with yourself and the world, and allow that to be okay, because you're totally perfect, and we can also experiment on how to make life even more easeful. Thank you, Panagiota, for your time. I'm so excited to share this. Thank you, listeners, for listening, and you will speak to you soon. A big and special thanks to Upturned for composing this magical piece of music, and to GS Studios for mixing it. To find upturns, other tracks, or ask for your own special custom piece of music, go say hello using their contact details in the show notes.